All right, so let's take a look at how we're going to create this helper utility that will basically take care of UV mapping a cross-section and a backbone curve that we feed into a sweep node. All right, let's jump into Houdini and check it out. All righty, so now that we've got this subnet created, what I want to do, I want to make sure that whenever I feed in whatever backbone or profile or path into this whole system, it automatically does the ends. So what I'm going to do is just cut and paste this into the node over here. All right, so before we get into this UV texture node, I can just put this node right there because that's coming in from input 2, and that's going to be our path. Okay, so now I know, and I don't have to worry about anymore putting that ends node in there. All right, cool. So with that all done, what we need to do is turn this into an HDA first. Okay, so let's jump up and out again. And I am going to right click on it and say create digital asset. What we're doing now is we're creating a SOP level HDA. So it's an HDA that can only go inside of geometry nodes. All right, and so let's name this as we usually do, like so. All right, perfect. And I am going to put this into my project, as I should. So accept and accept. All right, so with that, what I want to do is I want to go into my tools first in context, and let's put it into the indie-pixel / racetracks. All right, and then I'm going to make a new folder called utilities. So utilities, did I put too many in there? Nope, that's good. So there we go. So now we have utilities in there. All right, I'm going to put all my utilities in this particular folder, just so I know that they're just utilities. They don't actually get taken into the Houdini engine for Unity or Unreal. All right, cool. The other thing I need is 2 outputs in here. Okay, and those 2 outputs can actually be set right here. So I have a minimum and maximum of 2, which was set automatically because I initially had 2 inputs when I turned this into a subnet. But now I just need to set this to 2 for the maximum output, so I'm going to hit apply. All right, but you don't see an extra node under there. So let's hit accept on our type properties window there. And let's dive into this node. All right, very cool. So we have these 2 inputs here, and then we have our 2 UV texture nodes. What I need to do is I need to drop down an output node. All right, this will help us determine how many outputs we can have. By setting the, let's take a look at this again. So we'll go to the type properties, and that's for our track. Let's do the type properties for this guy. By setting the maximum outputs in the type properties window, we're just saying that is the maximum amount of outputs this HDA can have. What we need to do is put in outputs to actually use those. All right, so now we have 2 outputs. All right, so this output is going to be our profile or cross-section. I'm going to call it profile. I'm just more used to that. And this is going to be our path. And now you'll notice that we're getting an error in this guy. And that's because both these guys share the same output index. All right, so they have to be unique. So the profile is going to be 0. That's going to be the first output. And the path is going to be the second output. So let's just put a 1 in there. And there we go. So now, look at that. We have our path and our profile. And look, if I hit 5 on the keyboard, we have our UVs back. All right. And this is cool because now what I can do, let's actually save this. I'm going to save this node type. And what I can do is I can hold down Alt, left click and drag to create a copy of this, and then use Y to cut the wires. Okay. What I can do is I can UV these guys now without having to do all that extra work over and over and over again, right? Now, I'm showing you this because honestly, I've taken years of doing things over and over and over again, not making my own utility nodes, which I think is crazy. But nowadays, what I do is anytime I come across a system that I know I'm doing over and over again, I really want to be able to create the UVs for it. And it looks like this guy got a little weird. So we'll just debug it and see what's going on. It's either that or it's just too small. It looks like it's completely collapsed. So let's take a look at this. And that looks fine. And I think it's just because on the sweep node now, we need to say 1 primitive at a time. There we go. So again, we could even include the sweep node in there if you really wanted to. Okay. All right. So that's how we create our utility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these guys. So just right click on it and say save. And we need to keep them unlocked in our HDAs that actually go into the Houdini engine. All right. Whenever we use these guys inside of our HDAs, we need to keep them unlocked. Just keep that in mind. But if we go to our racetrack utilities, there's our curve helper. Super cool. All right, and that's how you can start to speed up your workflows. Start bundling up. You're creating your own geometry tools, right, without having to know how to code anything. Super cool. All right, so let's close out the lecture there and keep moving forward.